Namaste. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth live session from Ayurveda with Pratibha. I think I'm a little early. So let's see. All right. So welcome to Ayurveda with Pratibha live series. We are in our fourth live session today. Today, first of all, I hope everyone is fine, safe, and doing well in every which way, mentally, physically, every which way. Together, I'm hoping we are all going to get through these tough times. So today, I'm going to share with you few easy to understand and easy to do things around food. Food is very important. We're all talking about immunity. Food plays a big role in your immunity. So let me know if I'm audible, please, whoever is here. I'm going to assume I'm audible. Okay, so I'm going to share with you today a few things around food. Whoever is online, if you could just let me know if you're able to hear me. I can see one eye, I don't know who it is. And as I was saying that everybody is talking about immunity building, herbs and spices, but not much is being talked about food and the role food has to play in one's immunity. So today my effort is going to be to give a few guidelines from not only my training but also my 30 years of experience doing this, and also as a mother, as a family woman as well. So I'm going to blend in all my experience of 30 years and share with you a few useful things you can do around food in your homes at this time, especially ongoing also, but especially at this time. Sujata, am I audible? Please let me know if I'm audible. Before I start, I just want to make sure I'm audible. Sujata, if you could let me know, just type in the comment box if you can. Okay, I'm going to try and chat here. Am I audible? Okay, I'm going to assume I'm audible. I'm going to, unless somebody points out that there is any issue with sound, I'll just move ahead. So the first thing that is very important around food at this time, or let me take you back to the role of gut health in overall immunity. Gut health is central to our overall health, but especially so in our overall immunity. And what are some of the important cornerstones of gut health? Digestion and proper elimination. These two are very important. So let's learn about the do's and don'ts around food in that context. How some of the food intake choices can impact digestion as well as elimination and transformation also, assimilation also. So digestion, assimilation as well as elimination. So the first thing I want to say is that try and eat fresh and real, even at this time, because it is possible. It is a matter of planning in advance so that you have enough ongoing fresh produce, as well as you're cooking fresh. That is also important. Depending on the situation of your jobs, your work situation, depending on how many shifts one is doing, depending on how many dependents are there in the family. It can be a tough thing. But I would say, as much as possible, at least a good percentage of your food intake should be freshly cooked food. There are many advantages to eating fresh food. First of all, it is nutritious. And when you make it yourself, you know what exactly you're putting into the food. So you have control over it. When you're having boxed food or ordering out, you lose that control. So that's an important part. And also, what you're eating should be real. What I mean is that whatever you are putting on the dining table for yourself and the family should have real ingredients. And when you're buying boxed food, ready to eat and ready to eat food, you really don't know what has gone into it, what kind of preservatives, what kind of artificial ingredients, what kind of processed ingredients, altered ingredients have gone into it. And therefore, you are not getting what food is actually meant to deliver to you, which is energy, vitality, what we call in Ayurveda as prana. Vitality is very important. Stomach is like a pit. We can put anything into the stomach and it can feel full. In some of the calamity places, like Haiti had the earthquake, we know of we know about people having to eat mud pies. So when you are hungry, and if you are not able to manage anything real, then people are known to put even mud in their stomach just to fill it. However, I would assume that everybody in our capacity, in our strata of the society, is able to bring in some fresh ingredients, and that should be the goal, that should be the effort. Again, I want to keep in mind that different people are in different life situations. You could be doing multiple jobs, there could be time constraints, there could be money constraints. However, whatever your circumstances, your effort should be to get fresh, real food on the table. And I would like you to consider it as an investment in your health, investment in your life, investment in your productivity, and not as an expense. When you start looking at your food choices in this way, then you might be able to modify your food choices. This is very important, because if you choose for a shortcut right now, you will end up paying later on. So I would say, even if there are financial constraints, try and get one free range egg or one cage free egg rather than one normal egg. This is just a very broad example and very random example, but look at your food choices in this way. And what you buy is what you will consume. So that is very important. So try to buy healthy. At the time of buying, try to apply all your intelligence, as well as sensibilities, as well as wisdom at that time. And one easy trick is never shop hungry. That's very important. And have a list and stick to it. So that is very important. When you buy, you have to be using all your faculties so that you pick up the right things, because what you buy is what you will end up consuming. So at the time of buying, it's very important to pay attention to what you're putting in your grocery cart. And it will help to keep the meals simple. So even if it ends up being 4 to 5 to 6 choices daily, that is a better option than having a lot of variety, but which is empty food, if you know what I mean. Empty of nutrition, empty of vitality. So that is very important. Um, lot of people in these times are doing stress eating and emotional eating, comfort eating. I would say you can plan to have 2, 3 guilty pleasures in the week. Try to keep it limited. The whole idea is how much can you remain in your lane. It's expected that you will get off of the lane. Sometimes you're not able to be in your lane, or in the balanced direction. But the important thing to remember is how often do you come back into the lane. That is the important thing. So it is okay to cheat sometimes, to indulge sometimes, to fall off the track. That is absolutely fine. Give yourself that permission. What I say is that if 70 to 80% you're able to manage these very key principles of eating, then you will do well, because you'll have better energy, better mental clarity, better mental focus, and you will last through the day in a more productive manner. You'll have a better sleep, you will have better immunity. So in every which way, you gain a lot by making that little effort at the time of shopping. Are you able to hear me now, Susan? Okay, I'll assume you're able to see me and hear me, unless somebody tells me otherwise. So this is very important to understand, that a little bit of effort at the time of shopping, at the time of getting into your home, what you plan to get into your home, is very much worth every minute of that effort. So that is one thing, fresh, real. And then third thing is nutritious. Do pay attention to nutrition. I have seen a lot of friends posting all kinds of boxed desserts and ice cream buckets and so on and so forth. Trust me, the more you bring these things home, the more you'll end up using them and your energy levels will fall. I have one simple formula to help you make sure that your meals are nutritious. It's called SIN. Sneak in nutrition. So my question to my clients, usually some of you who are my clients, you know this, have you sinned today? I always ask. So SIN, sneak in nutrition. Whether it is a simple pancake you're making, whether it is a simple lentil you're making, whether it is a simple soup you're making. Soup can be as simple as just boiling water and putting some vegetables and some grains like rice or quinoa, or if you have some meat in it, okay, that can be a basic soup. Now you have to think, how can I sin with it? See, it's a very easy thing to remember. How can I sin with it? So when you think like that, for example, when I cook my lentils, what I do is I make sure to throw in some kind of green in it. And at this time, this is spring season. Again, Ayurveda has a lot of wisdom of what to consume season-wise. So at this time, which we call the kapha season, which is the damp season, and things can get heavy, and there is a lot of inertia. So anything that can counter that is beneficial and is recommended. So I have frozen fenugreek in my refrigerator. Again, it is a compromise. It is not fresh fenugreek, but it is still a very small compromise. So I have cubes of frozen fenugreek spinach in my freezer. And every time I cook a lentil, I throw in fenugreek or kale or spinach in my lentil. So I'm getting more nutrition than a simple lentil. I also have frozen amla in my freezer. And if you're following my page, you will see yesterday I have posted a very healthy dip recipe with amla, which is gooseberry, one of the richest sources of vitamin C, ginger, and cilantro. So basic 3 ingredients, but I've thrown in a few other things which are optional. But I also throw gooseberry in my lentils, and if anything else is available, zucchini or anything else is available, I will throw in the lentil. If you are not one of the people who eat traditionally too much lentil, you can throw things in your soup. You can throw things in your rice dishes, in your pasta. So remember to sin. Okay, this is easy to remember, and I hope you will remember to sin moving forward. So fresh, real, nutritious, very, very important. Because otherwise, the very purpose of eating food is lost. Okay, this is very important for you to remind yourself, what is the purpose of eating food? Purpose of eating food is not to just fill a hole. It is for us to get the right kind of fuel from that food, right kind of healthy tissues from that food. That is when our machine, our body, our physical machine is going to last the way we want it to last. It's going to be able to do the things we want it to do, and in a more efficient manner. And the next thing I want to say is try to have your food warm. I have talked about this in my previous live sessions. If you compare your stomach to the stovetop, when the stovetop is being used to transform what you have ingested, and all the thermal energy, all the heat that is required, the Agni, I have talked about Agni in my previous lives, all the fire that is needed for the transformation of what you have ingested, you are dousing it. If you're not taking care to have the right temperature of what you're eating, and not to also accompany it with iced beverages or copious amount of liquids. Because all of these, think about your stovetop, and as soon as you're about to cook, you are pouring cold water on it, or you're pouring a lot of water or some liquid on it, and you are putting a lot of cold raw foods on the stovetop. So either of these, if you do, you are prolonging the period of digestion, and you are regulating the machinery that is meant to transform whatever you eat into usable material. So I hope this is making very direct sense to everybody. So warm food, not just temperature wise, but also energy wise. So I'll talk about that now. So what is energy wise, potency wise? Well, we all know that certain foods are cold and certain foods are warm. We don't need to read a scientific paper on that. Try biting on a peppercorn and you're not going to feel cool at all. Or try drinking coconut water, you're not going to break into a sweat. So I think we pretty much know that certain foods are cooling and certain foods are warming. So that is what I mean by energy of the food. Also, if you're, so temperature wise is also important. If you are in the habit of having smoothies, even now we are in the cold temperatures, at least in the New England, I'm talking about my area. If you're in the warm temperatures and if you're the hot body type, what we call pitta body type, then definitely you can have smoothies during the day, definitely not past the sunset. So warm, remember to have your food warm. That's very important. Just remember fire, and fire will help to transform whatever you're eating into usable material. That is the whole purpose of eating. So the goal has to be kept in mind. And you don't have to compromise on the taste at all. I have been posting about all my, a lot of my cooking on my Facebook page as well as Instagram, which is a very new account I have, just a week ago or so. But follow me there and see what I have been cooking. And there is no compromise on food. And I also indulge, like I made puris today, which is a fried Indian bread. And it's fine. I had it during the peak metabolism time, which is lunchtime. It is perfectly fine. So warmth is very important, temperature-wise and energy-wise. And energy-wise, when I say, we are talking about spices, okay? So not only the inherent potency or energy of the food that you're ingesting, but you can also enhance the energy or modulate the energy of the food that you're ingesting by adding spices. So spices are like digestive aids, like an army of digestives that you can send along with your food so that your gut fire is not overburdened. And some of the useful spices that I would like to emphasize, which should be added to daily cooking, are turmeric, ginger, cumin seeds, coriander, and ajwain, carom seeds. These five, if you can remember, that's really going to be very beneficial for keeping the gut machinery operating in an optimal manner. There are other things you can add. You can add some of the Western spices too, and garlic is also good. But garlic is very overused in certain ethnicities. So I'm not going to put it on the spices or condiments to be used on a daily basis. But occasional use of garlic, occasional use of onion. And I'm talking from my own personal practices as well. So my own body type, I'm very careful about what I'm putting in my body. So ginger is something you can definitely have on a daily basis, and it's very, very beneficial not only for gut health but also for respiratory health, which we all want to prioritize at this time for all obvious reasons. I don't have to say that. Now, I was doing another webinar yesterday, and I wanted to say that yesterday, one thing I wanted to convey to my listeners yesterday was that, I had used the acronym SMART. I think we did in the previous slide, we did the SMART acronym. So S for shrink. So first of all, I was telling my listeners that shrink your perspective on life from next coming weeks to months to years and planning and all that. From there, shrink it to morning to night. That's it. Sunrise to sunset, like two, bookends. We put two bookends, right? So shrink it to just morning to night. It's one of the biggest opportunities that this crisis is providing us, is to learn to live in the present. Right now, it is even more important because the stress from the unknown, from the uncertainty, is immense at this time. So I want to pass in this message from yesterday, that shrink your perspective on your own life, on your family's life, to morning to evening, and try to have the best time of your life in between that. But I was bringing in the word shrink to share with you another aspect of food, is that shrink your portion size. Very important, because this is a time when a lot of people are, as I said, doing emotional eating and stress eating. So one thing you can do is you can have things a little, in a few more servings to satisfy that stress craving that you're having. But unless you shrink your portion size, at some point doors will be opened for you to get out, but you won't be able to get out of the doors, because you will not be able to pass through that door. That's just a joke, but you know what I'm saying, that this is also a time when weight gain is going to become a secondary health issue, which is becoming a big reality. I'm already seeing in a lot of my clients. So shrink your portion size. You can have a few more servings to satisfy yourself, and that is tricking the brain and tricking the hunger hormones. So go for a smaller bowl, go for a smaller plate, go for a snack size plate rather than a full dinner plate. And these are the ways of tricking your brain. And this is extremely important, because you also don't want to douse your digestive fire with so much material that it's not able to function and operate. Then the next thing I want to say is Ayurveda has a wonderful I want to talk about timely eating. So first of all, timely means also the rhythm. Have a designated time for eating, or periodicity or regularity. Don't eat at random times, like today sometime you had lunch and tomorrow 2-3 hours off of that time. So there should be some consistency in the timing of your meals. That's very important. What I'm doing personally is that I am skipping breakfast now. I have been not sleeping the way I used to sleep earlier. My sleep times are a little off. So I have removed breakfast from my meals I ingest in the day. So 2 meals and probably one snack, one small nightcap with a cup of turmeric milk and my AYUSH blend. That's it. So timing is very important, and also your last meal of the day should be 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. That's very important, because again that slows down the metabolism, and our basal metabolic rate (BMR) falls after sunset, and when you sleep it falls down further. So the thermal energy, the kinetic energy, stomach is the blender of our digestive system, and the kind of blood supply that is needed for this blender to operate will not be available. So make sure to have this 3-hour rule, and I'm coming to another 3-hour rule. 3-hour rule, 2 to 3 hours before bed should be your last ingestion of anything, and in between any two meals there should be a minimum of 3-hour gap. So remember this thumb rule of 3 hours, okay? And if you are able to have smaller meals, that's a good idea. You can then have probably 3 meals, but the portion size is important, not just the number but the portion size. So if your portion sizes are smaller, you can definitely have 3 meals in a day. And another thing from Ayurveda I want to share with all of you is Shatapauli, or 100 steps. So within the house, even if you're not stepping out, weather is not good, even if you have to do within the house, if you can stroll, that's the key word, stroll, not walk fast, not swift walking, just strolling, and that revs up your digestive system. Remember, when we operate the blender, the motor power is what is very important, and the motor power comes from the blood supply. And if you sit down, there is not enough revving up of the blood supply. So first of all, sit down and eat. Again, in yesterday's webinar I was saying this, somebody had asked me a question, how should we sit while eating? You should sit cross-legged. That is the best, the Indian way of sitting, because that stops the blood supply going away from the stomach, because the legs are bent at the knee. Definitely do not stand and eat, because that takes away the blood away from the stomach. And remember, the blood supply directly translates into the motor power of the stomach and the digestive system. So there is a very rich blood supply all across the digestive system. And we want that blood supply to be actively working there when it is needed. But a slow stroll revs up the engine just as much needed. So a slow stroll, Shatapauli, remember, 100, minimum 100 steps. I mean, you can do 120, 150, that's fine, but very slow. So within the house also that can be managed. And last but not the least, do not sleep after eating. That is extremely, extremely, extremely important. We are also in the Vasanta Ritu, Kapha season, as I was just earlier mentioning. This is already a season of inertia, stagnancy, dormancy, heaviness, dampness. Sleeping compounds it. Sleeping after meals compounds it. So definitely keep 1 hour at least, even if you are elderly or you are recuperating from something and you are exhausted or depleted due to any other reason, or you have done a night shift, you need to catch a nap, that is fine, but do not sleep immediately after eating, because again the blood supply goes down. And remember, when your machinery, when your digestive machinery is under functioning because you have overloaded it or you have not switched on all the right switches, then not only you don't get what you're supposed to get from your food, which is nourishment, energy, vitality, but also unrecognizable, unusable, toxic material ends up as a waste. And that is an added trouble at this time. That also lowers the immunity because that becomes a toxin in the body, what we call in Ayurveda, ama. So I think if you can keep these key things in mind, food should be real. I think that should be the topmost thing. Even if it is in a box, in a package, it should be real. It should be from a good source. Please pay attention to the source. All manufacturers want you to read the front of the packet. I would say always read the back of the packet. That is where all the real information is, not the pretty product pictures in the front. So make sure you know what you're putting in your body. It should be real. It should be fresh, ideally, as long as you can manage. And I do want to say to all the ladies, in case it is very overwhelming to cook fresh, I would say this is the time to sit down with your families and talk to them that this should be a family activity where you're all washing, chopping, prepping for the food. Explain to them that this is as important as doing the project, as important as sleeping, as important as watching television. So make sure you understand it, you convey it, and your own home cooked frozen food is far better than the fresh food of the restaurant. Remember this too. So if necessary, if your life situation does not allow you to cook fresh every day, make it on the weekends, freeze it, and that is still a far better option than ordering takeout. You probably won't believe that in all of the 7 weeks of the lockdown so far, only twice food has come from outside, and that too because I have my college daughter at home and she wanted to have something. So we have managed, so it is definitely doable. Even if you need to have a mono diet, a simple diet, that is fine. But try to aim for fresh, real, nutritious, and in nutritious, remember to sin. Okay? Sneak in nutrition. Please type and talk to me. I'm towards the end, so I would love to hear from you if you have sort of received some helpful takeaways. So remember to sin. And for those of you who have joined late, this live is going to be up on the YouTube in the next 15 minutes. And I will share the YouTube link on the My Ayurveda page. So you can watch it later and you can see what the full form of sin is. And what you're accompanying with the meal is also important. As I said, don't have iced beverages, don't have too many beverages. Warm herbal teas in sips are fine. Hello. And spices in your food are important. What you're accompanying with your food is also very important. How you eat it, at what times you eat it, in what environment you eat your food is very important. Have a periodicity, have a consistency in the timing of your meals, and shrink the portion size. As I said, quantity is also very relevant at this time. Try to walk 100 steps, stroll, not walk, stroll 100 steps. Okay, 1 second, Vinod, I'll just come to that. And do not sleep after eating, and try to eat seasonal as much as possible. And try to have your foods warm. I think those are some of the key things I wanted to convey in the live today around food. Now let's see. Yeah, hi Sumedha. I'm glad you're here. There is a nutrient called OPOS in short amount of time. Is this healthy? Vinod, I can look it up and I can let you know. Yes, Stephanie, I used to practice in woven. I'm the same person. Vinod, pressure cooker is fine. But other than that, I think the more alteration in the method of cooking we do, it does impact the nutrition, what would I say, integrity of the food molecules. So I'm not aware of this type of cooking, but I'm a little wary of interfering too much with the method of cooking. Yeah. So I think this is all I wanted to convey. If any of you have any questions, Stephanie, really nice to see you here. It's been so many years. I hope you're doing well. I cut my hair and it's all natural, so yeah. But really good to see you. Any questions, any comments, anything at all? I mean, we can stay on this live for another 5 minutes, 7 minutes, as long needed. So bring it on. Otherwise, I will wind it up in a minute or so. You all know my Ayurveda page. Please go there. Like the page to continue to follow all the events. There is another free event coming up. I'm doing another webinar for the Ayurveda Association of Canada. That's coming up on May 7th, I think. All the information is up on my Ayurveda. Just type that in on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram by that name. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Once the lockdown is shifted, come by to say hello, Stephanie. I'd love to treat you on a cup of tea. And I've also started my YouTube channel, as I said. Do subscribe, watch, like, comment, and share. And I will be here next Tuesday again at 5 p.m. With another new set of hopefully useful information. Until then, stay safe and stay indoors. I think the lockdown has been extended till May 18th. So we will all get through this. There is some good that is going to come out of all this. So let's just keep it together. Hi, Susan. Okay. So until next Tuesday then, stay safe. And again, this live will be uploaded on the YouTube and will be available on my Ayurveda page. I will post a link to the YouTube upload on the My Ayurveda page, so you can watch it anytime. So until next Tuesday then, 5 p.m. and you can join in other free webinars also. Keep in tune with my page and you can stay tuned. There's one coming up, as I said, May 7th. So until then, namaste and stay safe. Lots of love.